Welcome to Wise Beyond Bitcoin, your home for the crypto neo news, education, and opportunities, plus your home for the macro updates. My name is Ryan.
My name is Lucas. We've got
Go ahead.
yeah, no, we got a little bit of an update. Well, we've talked about Senator Warren. We talked about opportunities in blockchain and crypto, but we also talk about the news that affects the development of this new technology. And Senator Warren, her name has popped up a lot over the years for obvious reasons with her involvement in finance in the traditional markets. But let's take another look at one thing that she does, although she often comes out and makes claims, fearful claims against crypto or sounds the alarm for unnecessary reasons. One good thing she does is get the conversation going so that people can be more educated and have a better understanding of how crypto works and are these fears, are they necessary? So let's kind of what Senator Warren's saying. There were some rules passed that allowed these commercial institutions, that allowed these intermediaries to be able to open up accounts, that allowed them to be able to invest, that actually allowed for people outside of retail to learn about and participate the growth of these new ecosystems. And that's what allowed the Coinbases, the Krakens, the Geminis. That's what allowed a lot of these services, these groups to come about and to
because they've used banks to help raise money, to borrow money, for custody, right? They keep dollar assets if it's a stable coin like USDC or Tether. There's banks that have accepted these assets and are holding them in collateral for to back up these projects. So yeah, there's a lot of ways that the banking system interacts with crypto, and those things could be threatened if this were to become real.
And this is not left or right or middle or wherever on the circle or political spectrum you are. This is just bad. This is just a bad idea. This is just a bad policy when you're looking for financial stability, no matter who you're talking. This is not, this is just straight. If you're creating rules for people to follow, and then 2 or 3 years later, you say, you know what, let's just remove those rules and take those rules away. There's a problem, especially around financial markets and finance, but an arbitrariness of rules is not a good thing. I mean, that's one of the areas that would promote financial stability. So what's funny is that her coming in and saying, well, we just need to get rid of the rules that allowed for banks and intermediaries to become involved. That very action she's taking is itself destabilizing. It doesn't promote financial stability, right?
It introduces a lot of risk and volatility and uncertainty. I think in the economics discipline, they call it regime uncertainty. Mm-hmm. And it was something spoken a lot about during World War II when there was a lot of new laws passed. The New Deal came with it, a bunch of new ways of doing business. Can't think of all the acronyms right now, but there was a number of new 3-letter agencies created. Some of them were ruled unconstitutional by the Supreme Court. And this whole exercise in creating new laws and getting rid of old laws and all this created so much uncertainty in the business class that the companies stopped hiring, right? This was like the mid-30s after the collapse. And there was this lull in expansion when things would have returned quicker, but companies they didn't hire, they didn't invest, they just kind of sat on their money and they waited it out. And the reason is because they didn't know what the rules of the game were going to be one quarter to the next. Things were changing so fast, and so there is this risk that when the rules are uncertain and you don't know, you don't have guidance, that does reduce economic activity. It can create financial instability. So like you said, the very thing she's trying to promote is actually being sacrificed with this policy. But that kind of goes without saying that when you start interacting or messing with very complicated systems you don't understand, you often do things that go counter to what your goals are. And so this is just another instance of that.
And that's okay. This is another instance of Senator Warren doing that. And that may be her path. I know I've learned more from my mistakes and get things wrong. And that's a great way to learn. So hopefully she gets surrounded by some people that catch her up to speed on maybe a better way to accomplish that stability and the same goals. Another thing to mention regarding this is, I'm losing my train of thought. But it should come back. What else are we going to talk about with this?
Well, we could always talk about the scope or the how big of how the weight of this, like how important the importance of it. How important is this
Before I
versus
forget,
other things she could be dealing with?
I do remember. We like to talk about solutions. We're solutions oriented. We've mentioned the problem, and you were actually kind of going there too. You were mentioning a good one, but I was going to say, instead of removing the regulations and the rules for these banks and intermediaries that you're in charge of, instead of ripping those away, what she should do, or they should do, people in government trying to help bring clarity and healthy growth, take that knowledge and understanding and start bring a rating agency. I'd love to see the government bring a rating agency where they come through and say privacy preserving protocols, DeFi markets, data, whatever kinds of crypto blockchain projects are out there. They could rate them to the public to show them how risky they are. There could be a risk rating. They could come up with some kind of risk rating that deals with how much is it run by a smart contract, or how much is it run by people that can change the code, how
token distribution.
And that would be more help. That not only would that bring clarity, it would be helpful for the institutions. There would be a service they could provide, because as more people are learning about blockchain and wanting to become involved and support and participate, they would actually have something they could look at that gives them an idea of where they're.
And it also would help improve our collective understanding, not just on the consumer or retail side, but it will also improve the government's understanding. Because how often do we hear of people opening their mouths and saying something about crypto, and you're like, well, you clearly don't understand what you're talking about. So I think this period of kind of like giving out this information, it would help boost everybody's collective IQ on crypto matters, including the government. And they would be in a better position going forward to know what kinds of regulations or maybe not are necessary. But right now, without having gone through that learning process, they're not in a position to know what to do. Let's not kid ourselves, right?
Right.
So we all need to be a little more humble about what we know, and kind of just take a step back and learn and just learn before.
I love that you brought that up, because here we are when most people don't even understand what Web 3.0 blockchain wallet is, and sending and receiving and staking and mining. We're a little ahead of ourselves to assume that as this brand new technology just came up out of the ground, that these people that were involved with regulating other industries somehow are endowed with the perception and the understanding and of all the nuances of this new technology. It doesn't even make sense. And so for those of us who actually have been involved in blockchain and crypto for some years and are surrounded by others that are building and developing and have been around even longer, it becomes really apparent that there's a large gulf of understanding between those that are regulating traditional financial markets and trying to superimpose that understanding, those regulations into these new growing markets. There's definitely room for both, but it's a compromise. If anything, it's not a one size fits all approach. So we'll definitely keep up abreast of latest. But you were going to mention something else that I think we should continue pointing out, because one of the things that Senator Warren keeps screaming about is the safety of the financial regulation system. Oh my gosh, the crypto and what it's going to do, how it's going to put us all at risk. Well, crypto's been around for just a few years. I mean, Bitcoin, you could say, has been around for a decade about, but really when you look at the development of these applications and blockchain and crypto, it's very young.
It's a baby.
It's a baby. And most of the liquidity markets are pumped up from within, just like you see in traditional finance, where you can loop something, you can leverage something, and you can pump it up. So It's really just a young baby market that not a lot of people are involved with. When we've talked about Panama Papers, we've talked about Pandora Papers, and these are just declassified, open information that's out there to the public of the laundering and the problems that have taken place. There's information about the shadow banking system and how much money is actually not created by the Fed and through these other mechanisms, but through commercial banks and through the loans
Yeah.
that are taking
shadow banking entities that aren't even actual traditional banks. But they serve bank-like functions
because of the laws
Yeah.
and the like that exist. There's actual money creation that is taking place at this level,
Yeah.
and a lot of money creation. You look at all the pawn market, you look at all the
it dwarfs the traditional markets by many orders of magnitude, to where when you compare them, you're shocked that you didn't know about this system and you hadn't heard about it.
Right.
It's insane. And then whenever the markets do blow up, like in the 2007 housing crisis, or in the last time we tried to raise interest rates, these shadow banking markets, these derivatives markets, these repo markets, these are the places where the crisis emerges. That's where the instability is at. That's where the Fed has to go.
That's where everyone's money's at. That's where everyone is.
Yes.
That's what makes me crack up when I see all this screaming about crypto. It's like, you do realize that most of the people that are in blockchain and crypto are people that are taking high risks so that they can be a part of a new technology and all the revolution, evolution, and good things that can come about from this new technology. Openly admitting that many of us don't even know which way it's going to go. We just see it as an exciting potential to bring about many new things. And that's the reality, is that that's why it would be great to see education be promoted in this new technology, this new space, and more openness and protection for that innovation, not creating criminals out of anyone who uses Tornado Cash, like we just did a video
on or if you're a bank and you offer services, now you have to stop or you're a criminal, right?
Right. We should want, we should want to see people be open to learning this new technology, investing resources and time into it. You want to be ahead of the curve. You'd like to have people around being able to openly explore it and build and not be shunned away. It's kind of like the way intellectual property rights can prevent innovation, right?
Yeah.
If I'm not allowed to build there, then I just won't. So we'll see what happens in 10 years.
Yeah, right. Well, we'll definitely keep talking about these themes. I mean, as time goes on, this struggle between an emerging open frontier, open source crypto world is going to be juxtaposed against this controlled, top-down, regulated version. The Fed will have their CBDC, or the Treasury, or whoever. So this dichotomy is not over with. It's just beginning, I'm sure. And there'll be a lot more to say about it. But essentially, it all comes down to is who's making the rules, and do they apply to everyone equally, and who do they benefit? And who do they benefit? Yeah. And these are big questions.
We'll definitely cover that here. If you like knowing what's going on in the world of, the the economy at large and how it impacts us and blockchain and crypto technology development, where there may be opportunities and airdrops, and is it NFTs? Is it data storage? Is it DeFi? Who knows? Is it privacy? Maybe it's a little bit of this, a little bit of that. We will have a little bit of this and a little bit of that all on here with playlists for you to follow and stay abreast. So, I already did mention that none of this is commercial advice, legal advice, marital advice, medical advice. It's just that educational stuff. So,
yep, that's right.
Until the next time, have a beautiful day. Namaste, y'all.
Thank you.